Hello, welcome to Euphoria Season 4, Episode 13. We're available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. As a heads up, this is the last episode before Worlds. We'll be taking a break. Our producer, Phil, will be going to Japan. I'll be doing some play-in stuff. And coming back after plans, our next episode is going to be on the 9th of October. So we'll be recording on the 8th. It'll be releasing on the 9th. And it will be a Dive-phoria episode. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. We haven't figured it out. But trust me, me and the NA boys and Frostgren are going to figure out exactly what's going down. Frostgren's not here. She's taking much-deserved vacation after Athens before Gauntlet. But luckily, the two heroes of the hour, the last-minute emergency guests have shown up. And, I couldn't ask for better guests. I got Mikyx and Yamato. Thank you both for being here. How you feeling after Athens, Mikyx?
I'm feeling pretty good. Kind of relieved, I guess. More than, really happy. It was a fun series compared to last split. It was a bit close, so we had to a bit sweat for it. So that was fun.
Do you think you're just saying it's a bit close now because you can it's been a day? Do you think that maybe after the series you would have said that it was really, really close?
It was. It shouldn't be really, really close because game 5 should have been a stomp. But then we got a bit overconfident after we got a few kills, and then we kind of started throwing. So it was closer than it should have been. But it was still pretty close.
Yamato, how did you feel about Athens? You were here with us on the broadcast side of things.
I had a lot of fun. I felt like the series was perfect because I think what you said summarizes it. You got overconfident game 5 of a finals. That's crazy to even think of. It was a fun series. I got to do some booth action as well. That's why my voice is a bit effed up.
Okay,
but all is good. I loved it. Always a pleasure.
Right. Best part of Athens, in your opinion, in the experience overall, starting with you, Mikyx?
Well,
was
winning
it?
Winning.
But outside of just winning it, right? Was there food that you like the city, not just the event? Did you get to do anything, or were you just
after party?
Work?
Yeah. That's a very good question. Well, the food was pretty good. We went to 2 places that were pretty decent. The place was nice. I didn't really do much sightseeing, but it looked pretty cool from the distance from the hotel. A lot of people went to I don't know what it's called, the place.
Acropolis.
Yeah. It looked nice from the hotel view, but I didn't go there myself.
That's fine, man. You're playing. It's a hectic weekend. It's also hard because we weren't exactly placed close to anything. You had to be willing to taxi cab anywhere. Yeah. Was it just the after party? Is that your fondest moment?
No, I was just laughing about it because it's me and Mikyx, at least I'm going to speak for myself. I regret going. The moment I go, always food is always promised, and it's these tiny half burgers.
Yeah.
Half burgers meaning no bun, and it was such an awkward size. You couldn't one-shot it. You couldn't bite it once. And it was just a disaster. But I'm very picky. I'm complaining, so this is just I was being negative and tired. But best part of the event, I think, was just catching up with Mikyx, Jankos, Vander. It was always good times. Always good to see old friends grow in such a way. And Mikyx winning the finals was fun.
Yeah, cool. You come so far. We both watched you grow up, young man. Look at you. Remember where you were at the start?
I remember the dynamic queue with Spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Good times. Only time I got challenger. The last.
I remember the 0-10 Ulo game.
Yes. Oh yeah, against Caps.
I remember it.
That was just a prophecy. It's funny because Caps, I'd actually flamed him online pretty hard because he had a very horrible Vladimir game. I was okay, this Vladimir performance is the worst competitive performance I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But he was really running it down.
It was Azir versus Vladimir.
Yeah. And then when he met me, I could feel his wrath and anger. He was stabbing me with Azir soldiers. But I was convinced to play a matchup I didn't want to play, so I blame Spirit partially. But I ran it down.
All right. The thing that I love about the events now is that because it's these long-term partnerships and stuff, there's so many people that get to come to the events with their orgs, even if they're not there to play. So you get to see people like Vander. I watched Kadril lose a 1v1 to some random guy, which was really my favorite experience of the weekend, was watching Kadril as Garen mess up his Garen mechanics, which up until Kadril did it, and I didn't think was possible. So shout out to you, bud. Wow. Really making the Excel fans out there feel good.
jungler mechanics.
Jungler mechanics.
Put him on Sejuani.
Right back to this Sejuani. No more Silas for him. Obviously, an insane weekend of League of Legends. The Schalke Fnatic series was anticlimactic. I'll give you that. But Fnatic G2 was insane. And now the Gauntlet is coming up. But talking a bit more about G2 versus Fnatic, getting cocky, getting overconfident in Game 5, going into Game 5 before the draft where you guys like, we've got this, no question. Because that's what Yanko said. Yanko said that interview where he's talking about like, yeah, we don't lose Game 5s. Is that like...
That was,
Is that for the cameras? Is that like something he says after Game 5? Or is that like actually how you felt?
We say it every time. We're losing. And we're like, if we win Game 4, then we never lose Game 5. So we're going to win Game 5. So after we won Game 4, we were kind of, it's in the bag. And then we also kind of knew, like, our draft was, like, really good. Props to Grabs. That was, like, his first good draft. He was like, we came backstage and he's like, guys, what if we go, what do we pick? Silas first pick? Into Olaf Thresh, I think. And then...
You guys first pick Akali that game.
Oh, Akali into Olaf Thresh. And we're like, wow, Grabs, that's pretty smart. Because then we have 80 junglers, so we can go Syndra bot, you know.
Yeah.
Then... Yeah, I mean, usually when we get Syndra bot, it's like kind of a free win because usually bot laners don't know how to play against Syndra. And yeah,
it does also help when they pick Shen, the most telegraphed gap closer of all time without flash, and you can just push E every time he tries.
True that. And also, I realized after Game 2 that, after Game 4 that I have 100% win rate on Thresh. And yeah, maybe I just fake Thresh because, well, he doesn't really play that many counters except Morgana, I guess. But I was fine playing that. And the Lantern spell is very good against Fnatic because they like to fight a lot, so we can just push out waves and then Lantern back. And
I was good with your boys as well. You know, it's like you're keeping them on a literal leash.
Yeah.
When
they can like reach for waves and without getting caught. So.
It's also just so disgusting because I look at Syndra as a mid laner, and like one of the things is, she's got all this insane stuff, but she's like, once you get on top of her, especially with a champion like Olaf, say, for example, or something like that, she's really easy to kill. But then when you pair her with a Thresh Lantern, you're like, oh, I'm sorry, does your champion have weaknesses? Like, now you just have a cast timeless mage, basically, outside of like E and R, who just has a free escape every single time.
Also, it looks like no bot lane knows how to play against Syndra.
Yeah, that's the important part.
Yes, they were eating the balls and then they're just standing on top of them getting E'd. Perks is a fantastic Syndra because he played a lot in the past and so forth, but it's nasty because bot laners just don't know how these champions work. I was hoping for the Zoe Bard. I really love that game.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
We're saving it.
How much more will come out? That's the big question. So you talked about the overconfidence. I do have to ask, in that one team fight where Fnatic got like the Ornn ult, after you did the same trick 3 times in a row, Bwipo finally ulted the Ornn in a different way, and you guys fell for it, and they won that crazy team fight. Were you like, oh shit, it might be doomed?
Yeah.
Did you feel that way in game where you're like, it's fine, so everything's okay?
we killed bot 2 first, top killed 1v1, and then we dove mid as well. So then we started giggling like, this is so over, like they can't do it. And then I see top lane dive 1v1 because we tried to dive him, and then we tried to dive bot as well with Olaf, and then we died. They're like, okay guys, stabilize, we need to calm down a bit. And then mid gets Shen ulted and he died as well. We're like, oh shit, we're actually throwing the game. So then we like started playing a bit more seriously, and we got a huge lead again. And then in top lane we lost the fight, and then I almost got Nash, and then we were like only 3 people alive, and people had to base and shit, like, oh shit. And then, I was like, we were saying, so I think we just give up Nash, we can't contest it. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to give up Nash, we're gonna lose if we give it up. So then, luckily, Broxah just walked into my hook, and then they all kind of died, because, I guess maybe they couldn't even do Nash, because they didn't have much damage, but it helped that Broxah like walked into my hook. And then, started winning again after getting Nash. And then after I got ulted by the Ornn, I had flash up, so I could flash it. And Syndra has flash as well, but he expected me to flash, which I should have done. And then, after that, I kind of realized that it's the only way they can win is if I get ulted by Ornn, and like Shen flash taunts or whatever. So after that, it was like, the only worry was like we get outscaled a bit, because we don't have like a consistent damage. There was like only Syndra.
Ornn building items.
Yeah, and like Renekton is like our only 80 damage. Olaf is kind of useless late game. So yeah, it was a bit scary. It was like, we have to end it really fast. And then we were just like, just go siege, and then we can't really lose. And then Jin got a good stun, and then we won.
I'm glad that at least you realized that you were like throwing it away and trying to stabilize. Because watching that game, I was watching with Ender on stage next to the analyst desk, like listening to Medic like pop off like 2 feet away from us. I'm like, he's going crazy. It's game 5. And I'm watching this game, and I'm like, And I'm going to be honest with you, I predicted Fnatic 3-2. It's the only way I could win predictions. Also, I didn't have a ton of faith in you, Mr. Man. I don't know, you've been running down a little bit in lane. The Thresh-up was your saving grace. But I was like, the only way Fnatic win this is if like they scale the late, because this Ornn pick is clearly going to end in early game. Then it didn't in early game, and I'm just like, there's no way. And then suddenly you guys just started throwing, and I'm like, am I a genius? Am I a prophet? Like, did I see this? No, I wasn't a genius or a prophet. You guys were just running it down. Is this the best series ever, YamatoCannon? Does this beat the former, I think many people would call best series ever of Fnatic OG 2015?
It's kind of weird because it's like Fnatic OG also had like really clear favorite. Like this one, like G2 was the clear favorite. But this one, I guess recency bias because it's so close. We just saw it, what was it? Was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Holy, Monday just disappeared. This series, I think the other one was closer in terms of what we saw on paper, more competitive. And G2, I think, what's fun about this series for me is the fact that coming into the World Championship, I can just imagine them being much, much better than they were in this best of 5. So I think that part of it makes me a bit more excited, but I have to give it to the OG and Fnatic series, sadly. Sorry, Mickey.
That's fine.
All right, holding on for OG Fnatic. Yeah, it's hard to, I don't know. I think this is going to be the best Worlds ever, though. That's what I feel like.
For sure.
But then the question for me coming out of it is, and I think that all European fans should ask to both Fnatic and G2 is like, did you learn something from the series, young man? Did you learn? Because you can't play Pyke like that up against the Chinese teams. They're going to mess your shit up in lane if you die at the end.
Yeah, so the Pyke game didn't go in our favor. I felt like our matchup was like really good, and I kind of won the game level 1. He had to like burn flash, but then I got too overconfident. And then I died level 2, so then everything went south. And then I mean, I think we learned quite a bit. We're probably gonna for when we boot camp for Worlds, we're gonna go in with a more try hard attitude. We didn't really try too hard in this past few weeks. We're like trying to chill a bit to not like burn out because we're gonna like grind for a few weeks now. But yeah, I think we learned quite a bit. Yeah, but I guess the meta will change anyway for Worlds, so I guess we have to change our priorities and how we draft. But just gameplay wise, we had quite a lot of misplays, especially me in lane. So I learned from that.
How do you, out of curiosity, when you review your games, because this is like the first time it feels like you played, second time I guess that you played a really, really close series, right? And then you look back on these mistakes. But when I watch, like most teams, it's like very clear what play decides the game. But because so many of these games were so back and forth and there's so many comeback moments from both sides, it's hard for me to know what to focus on as a viewer. So like when you guys review these games, what are you actually looking at? Like, what are the moments that you would look at as like, hey, this is where we threw the game, this is where we lost the game? Where do you see like the big mistakes that you can actually focus on and learn from?
I mean, usually when you lose the game is when enemy team gets a Nash. So most of the time it's really take a bad fight or we misplay a fight or whatever, and then they get Nash and the game is usually over. So that's usually the turning point. But for me, a lot of stuff that I see from my own play is just like really stupid mistakes like dying level 2. So next time I will not die level 2 ever again. But yeah, just like, I guess usually when I watch like review our games, I just look at myself and what I'm doing, if it makes sense. And yeah, this past 2 weeks didn't make sense what I was doing. At least, the Pyke games. And yeah, I think we were just like kind of misplaying a lot of stuff, like even just how we team fight. Usually we're pretty good at that, but yeah, we were like not that great. So I think just like after scrimming for a while, like a bit more, then these past few weeks we're gonna be fine.
I wanted to ask if it's okay. Well,
yeah, of course.
Of course it's okay.
Get in there, dude.
I wanted to ask, do you think, so after MSI, you guys, what was the approach you guys took? After MSI, usually, I know in history what Perks did, because he went to MSI how many times? Always they took a more relaxed approach coming into summer. How relaxed, like what was the level of relaxation you guys took coming into the summer split?
It was pretty relaxed. We were like, we really didn't like practice much. I think we took like a few weeks off after MSI, and then we kind of expected like to lose in the few early weeks, because usually teams that go to MSI are like not prepared because there's a new patch coming out. So we're just like, we were expected to like lose a bit, but then we kind of won a lot of games because everyone was like not that great.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were just kind of chilling for the majority of the split.
Do you think that had an impact coming into like the later parts of summer? Because like spring, you guys had to kind of prove yourselves. You guys went hard in the paint.
Yeah.
And then like you guys stomped OG. I think Fnatic was tougher than OG, but
Yeah.
do you think it impacted your mindset coming into best of fives?
I think maybe it did, yeah. And also in spring, we really wanted to prove people wrong. People were like doubting us a lot. So we really wanted to like...
Caps even Fnatic.
Yeah. and me, we Jankos won, they never won a split before. So we like really wanted to win like the whole thing. And we were like practicing really hard all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, this split, we were like just kind of chilling. And yeah, I mean, for sure we prepared better for OG. But yeah, even against Fnatic, we like prepared pretty well. But yeah, they played a lot better. Also, we didn't play that well. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
How do you feel about that, kind of building on what you're saying, YamatoCannon, that concept that people come out with that I think the broadcast talked about it, and a lot of people in social media talked about it as well, where it's like this like ramp up period where like you guys look pretty asleep in game 1 of this best of 5, like you're just getting outplayed mechanically, you're dying at level 2, and some people would say the same thing happened in the first 2 series of in the round 2, I want to call it semifinal, the round 2 match that you guys played as well. Like, I talked about that. Is this a thing that like people should be worried about moving forward? Is this like the new is this the level of G2 and best of 5? So you just have to lose one before you wake
game
up?
Game 1s are always like really bad. Like you should expect us to lose game 1, but if we do win game 1, then it's a 3-0 usually. So yeah, if we lose game 1, it's fine. It's natural because I don't know, we just play so much worse game 1 for some reason, or we like usually try stuff in draft as well. We like see what the enemy team has priorities on. Or against SKT, which I saw on Tarek, for example, didn't play it much. But I usually just want to like, because in best of 5s don't have the luxury of like trying out stuff. You want to like go for like one specific draft that you're really comfortable on. But in best of 5s you can afford to like see what the enemy prioritizes, and yeah, then you can adapt throughout the series. So
there you go. Makes a lot of sense. Let's talk a little bit about Worlds. Gauntlet, of course, we're going to talk about as well. But given that both you and Fnatic are qualified, I think it's interesting to think a little bit. And given that the third team, as we'll discuss later, seems a little bit below the first two in terms of level, I think...
A little bit.
A little bit. So you just said that's kind of in best of 5 where you're going to try stuff out and you don't have the same luxury in best of 1. My biggest concern, Mickey, is like you guys get in a group with Griffin and like not making it out of groups. I got a lot of faith in both you and Fnatic in best of 5s, but I'm very scared of best of 1s. Is that fair? Should I be scared of your team in best of 1s?
I think so. Because I'm not really sure. Like, I think maybe we would play better if we would play like really strong, like known teams compared to if we played like Buffaloes. I think we might just lost to Buffaloes every time we played them in best of 1s. Or if we played like some any team, like, yeah, maybe we would lose it. So hopefully we get like pretty good teams. And I think we would like, yeah, probably make it out because we were like approaching the games differently maybe, but just like.
So what is it about the known versus the unknown? Did you guys just like have no idea what to expect from Buffaloes, hadn't watched the tape on Buffaloes versus, you know, like, I don't know, a team like Griffin where you obviously can look at you can technically look at all of Buffaloes season 2, by the way. I just understand that it's not as high priority as a team like Griffin.
So yeah, I mean, for MSI, for example, we felt more prepared when we were playing like the known teams, I guess. And even, I guess, subconsciously you like try harder to like check their solo kill counts and like watch the games yourselves and just be more prepared for what they do, and you kind of know what they're gonna do. But usually less known teams are like a bit random in their approach. For example, Buffaloes, like we didn't know that like, I mean, for example, I didn't know they played Shen. Like no one played Shen, and I just got like picked Galio blind because usually people pick like Nautilus and then Galio's going into Nautilus, and I just picked like Shen and he just like taunts in level 1. I'm like, what? And then we lost the level 1 because I eat backwards, but you know. And then I'm like, what? And then Rex, I was just like ganking all over the place, and yeah, they were just like a bit everywhere, and yeah, they're just like a bit random. It's a wild card factor. I don't know.
Oh, the wild card factor. All right, that does not inspire a ton of confidence. I'll be honest. I'm kind of hoping that you don't draw, you know, a VCS seed now into your group.
I wanted to talk about game 1s and best of 5s. So usually we like try a lot of stuff to see how enemies react. So for example, when against Origin, we picked Sonatari game 1, and then, so, because they didn't know we play it, so then they had to pick it up for game 2, and then we had the funnel ready. And then for game 3, we were expecting them to ban it, but then they didn't ban it, so we banned it ourselves, and then we just played a normal game, and it like kind of threw them off, and we always had like the upper hand, and it would be same against Fnatic. If our Mordekaiser strat worked against Yuumi Garen, then we would get an extra ban because we wouldn't have to ban Yuumi, and they would have to maybe ban it themselves because they don't know what we play with Yuumi, and then because we lost that game, then we had to ban Yuumi. So yeah, usually, however, if we win game 1, then usually we have like a pretty good, like, smooth sailing throughout the series.
I respect it.
So yeah,
we tried to pull some similar shit against Schalke with the Graves Cartus.
Oh yeah,
Obviously,
that's right.
Do you want to reveal how it works? Do you want to explain to us what it should have done?
The genius. We didn't pull off the genius yet, so we will see it maybe in the future because there are some details there that no one has ever seen before. So I'm going to use it in the future.
All right.
But what we saw in that game, for example, we saw their Zaya prio, we saw their Yuumi prio, and then all of a sudden we knew we didn't have to ban Yuumi because they banned Yuumi on both sides.
Yeah.
So it was a big revealer, even though we lost at the minute 1.
It was all bait. It's all just data. That's the point. Yeah, they were just seeing what they can get out. All right.
That's true.
So, do we see you? The follow-up here is: do we ever see the young Mordekaiser Pyke again?
It could happen actually, but we never know. Maybe.
Was that winnable? Because like I think Luca talked about it, and he said that like but like
the draft was not winnable. There's no way because so we first picked Pyke, right?
Yeah.
And so we also thought that they didn't prioritize TF because they didn't pick TF in the past few weeks, and. They picked it with Yuumi because it's like pretty good with Yuumi because they can teleport with Yuumi on him. That's why we didn't ban the game 2 as well. But yeah, picking Pyke against TF in the game is like so unplayable because he just ults
and you don't heal.
Ults on top of me and presses gold card and I'm just dead. And if he has Yuumi on him, actually he can chase me because he can see me. So and they have Nocturne as well that can just ult me whenever TF ults. So yeah, the game was like really not playable for me. But if my team could carry, maybe. But yeah, I think Mordekaiser we could probably still see it. Maybe not with Pyke. Maybe not the blind pick Pyke with Mordekaiser. But I think Mordekaiser is like still a pretty good champ, so we might pull it off more.
Do we see the legendary Mordekaiser support? That's the real question.
Okay, so thanks for recognition.
But it's like on your profile.
Yeah, no.
It's on your main profile that everyone can see.
I didn't play Mordekaiser a lot. I was mostly playing it, so just in case we want to flex it. But yeah, I mean, it could work against Garen in theory. Like I can just press ult on Garen, and then my team can hopefully win the 4v4 when I'm take the AD carry for me as support.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, it could work. Didn't try it yet. But in theory, it could work.
So more innovation is coming, is the bottom line.
Can you solo kill Yuumi as Pyke at 6?
No.
That's not possible.
Probably not.
Unless you like hit hook and then also already have a...
The plan is Mordekaiser gets the Garen low enough so I can ult him after.
Okay. Because you guys did all in and you were level 5. Yeah. I was like, it gave me hope. But then... they reasoned the fool, and then all hope was gone.
Yeah, the more that I think about that lane, the less that I'm like, how does this actually, like, how do you ever actually kill anyone?
In scrims, every team, like, surrendered in, like, 10 minutes, because it was we were like... Really
what if, here's my theory, what if you just, as Garen Yuumi, with your essentially infinite sustain, just back up and heal to full, and then go in again? Like, what does Pyke more do against that? They just...
No, it's fine, because Mordekaiser just skills to get he gets Leandries, and then the game is over.
At 10 minutes? He gets Leandries at 10 minutes?
Okay, no, but like, if Garen Yuumi, like, stay on the tower, you know, then...
I just feel like you might not have had the best sample size. If you're winning games at 10 minutes and your win condition is a Leandries, you're never going to buy.
We didn't practice that much. But from the game that we played in the scrims, it looked really broken. But it wasn't so broken. But then again, people didn't play TF and Nocturne in scrims as well. So.
Actually, it's rough to scrim you guys, man. It's so rough to scrim G2, honestly, because it's good to scrim G2 if you're playing G2. Because otherwise, it's like you scrim them and they pick all these unique champions and you start to, like, if you lose, because most of the time you lose, at least us, we lost a lot against G2 and scrim. I think maybe we won 1 out of 30 or some shit. And you just begin to question everything. It's like, what are we doing with our life? It's like, do we have to remake our whole draft? Did we practice the wrong shit for 3 months now?
Yeah.
So it's rough to scrim against these guys.
Oh, you're like, oh no, wait, it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Except for this.
And then you have this in your mind that they're picking all this cocktail stuff, and then you know you didn't scrim them for 2 weeks coming into a match against them, you know, on the weekend, and it's like, shit, what the hell did they practice? So it's better to just not prepare.
But it's also like a bit weird for us, because if we win so many games with random stuff, then we don't know what's actually good. So then, yeah, it's a bit weird. But yeah, like, for example, in Rift Rivals, we saw the AP Shyvana. AP Shyvana worked wonders in scrims. It was really good. I think you might remember some games of Shyvana. But usually it's a game 5 special. If we're 4-0, then the game 5 is a Shyvana special.
Better than Kassadin, game 5.
Yeah, it's true.
God. For Nemesis.
Yeah.
Hey, to be fair, they might as well have written in the patch notes the Kassadin buff on the W. Like, we want melee mages out of the mid lane. Like, we're buffing Kassadin so he can beat up Sylas and Akali. Like, please force them out of meta. Not enough, Riot Games. Still just, just such an awful champion if you don't do anything with it. Kassadin is...
Oh, it's not bad. You can get level 6 and then fine.
Kassadin, Olaf, YamatoCannon top. All great. Love them all. Never ever want to see them ever on a stage.
Predator Olaf was pretty good in game 5.
Yeah.
Predator
Olaf did win the game.
Actually, Predator was big MVP in the series.
Yeah, Predator's so OP.
Youngos is running in every time.
I mean, you got Doinby taking Predator Kiana in the mid lane. So.
Wait, really?
Yeah, he took Predator Kiana in his series.
I remember your team having a Predator enthusiast on Galio, Talon.
Every Predator Galio, I was like, that's so big brain. And I watched him get one shot and I was like, Aftershock is pretty important.
Honestly, into Cassio, it's like you can't proc Aftershock. This matchup is really bad. Honestly, if you have Galio Cassio matchup, just go next. As we did. Very fast.
Yes.
That game against Schalke.
It was just information. The Predator Galio, similar to the Smite Karthus Graves, just information, just figuring it out. So, Mickey, for you guys and for prepping for Worlds, do you already, Grabs kind of talked a little bit about what you were planning. Do you know already what your practice schedule is? Do you know who you want to be practicing or who you have confirmed for practice? If it's stuff you don't want to share or can't share, that's fine. I'm just curious if there's anything you can share.
Well, I can share that we'll probably take 2 weeks off now, and then we go bootcamp somewhere in Europe. Not sure yet, but probably not in our gaming house. We need to change environment, I guess. Don't really have any specific scrim partners prepared, I guess. But I think we'll probably try one team each day, hopefully. I mean, at least one team at least once. And then see if they're good. Otherwise, we just scrim EU teams, maybe even EU Masters teams. Like, we scrimmed the LDLC a lot this past few weeks. They're pretty good, so yeah. Not sure.
Are you worried, and Yamato, maybe you can shed some light on this as well. I'm a little concerned as an outsider that you're not going to be scrimming LCK/LPL teams, that you're not doing a traditional Korean boot camp. And I get it, Worlds is in Europe. I know jet lag's brutal and you want to be adjusted to the schedule, but you're already better than all the EU teams. So scrimming them, while still valuable, I think, doesn't seem nearly as valuable as playing against some of the LPL, LCK teams.
Yeah, but I think I heard that some teams are coming to Europe, at least SKT. I'm pretty sure they're coming to Europe. But then again, SKT doesn't usually scrim us, or LCK teams don't usually scrim other teams. So I'm not sure if we're going to get scrims with LCK. But usually LPL, I think we scrim them. But I'm not sure if they're coming to EU, but hopefully they are. But they'll come eventually, I guess. They have to.
They have to. You're going to be waiting.
Yeah. But otherwise, we have Fnatic, they're pretty good. So having to scrim them.
I think something to note as well is what was cool about all the boot camps in Korea is that a lot of the Korean teams that are not at Worlds, they're still scrimming.
Yeah.
For example, Griffin last year was scrimming the entire time, and the rumor was that they were beating everyone, and maybe they were the best team in the world at the time. Maybe if they're not under pressure, because in best of 5 they're kind of
best of 1 they're
running
so
it down.
Good.
But I think it's rougher for it. I feel like Korea as a region, they aren't as usually they figure out the meta pretty well. But I think we're at the point in time where creativity is pretty clutch. You can play anything anywhere, and I think not anything, but you can Syndra bot or whatever. And I think
there's a lot more room for flexibility, right? If you can win lane with it, it's a good pick.
Yeah, everyone's really open-minded about it, and I think I remember there was this World Championship where SKT were first picking Ryze every game, and no one figured out why. The reason was because Kassadin was OP, that's why they first picked Ryze, and we only saw that until the final, and only 2 teams knew about Kassadin and Ryze. I think this was 2016, yeah. And so this was the time where Korea just figured out the meta, they're ahead of the curve. But now, I think G2 is going to be ahead of the curve. And I think if you guys get some LPL practice, I think that's the best. Because I think that's what can be dangerous for you guys.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Do you think the biggest threat to you guys right now is the LPL? Are there any specific teams that you're looking just across the board that you're more worried about than others? Like, who do you actually have on your radar? Because fans are obviously just going to pick number one names, or someone's going to be like, IG, what about Rookie? Even though they're kind of...
I mean, personally, I don't think any team is like really, really good. But I would love personally to play against RNG because I want to play Uzi and Ming because they're really good.
Oh.
And then also I want to play IG because G2 never beat IG. So we want to beat them this time. So yeah, hopefully we play those two teams. I mean, I would like to play FPX as well because they kind of won. So I guess they're good. But yeah, just all the LPL teams are pretty good. I like to play SKT again as well. And yeah, those 4 teams, I guess.
This is the ones that you like to want to play against also reflective of the ones that you think are like the biggest threats as well?
And Griffin in best of 1, I guess. Only best of 1. So if we get them in groups, might be rough.
The ultimate group of death. That's still my biggest concern. Is the finals dream realistic? Is the Paris Fnatic G2 rematch? Is it a little bit of a pipe dream, or is this a thing?
Dream.
Yeah, I think a little bit.
No,
I think at least for one side of the bracket.
Yes.
The Cap said the thing, and I cheered, and it was an emotional day, and like, well, okay, so what?
Well, I'm not sure if it's gonna be a rematch. I think it's realistic that we make the finals if we get out of the groups. I'm not sure about Fnatic though, because I think they're really good, but then again, I don't know. Like they're like a bit random to me, and I'm not sure like how they're gonna do. And yeah, I just don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they can be final.
I think like if I just look pound for pound in terms of like player quality, I feel like I can imagine Reckless Hidisang as a final, even though Hidisang sometimes once a game just kind of runs it down. That happens, happens to everyone. I think it's a worthy price to pay for what he does in a game. But then I can't imagine like Nemesis, Broxa, and Wipo in their current form to be strong enough to get all the way through a final. Because I think, IG, when they won Worlds, they had a roster at the time where you're like, holy shit, every single player can be really, really insane. It's not the same now because their jungler and support is kind of running it down. But I can imagine that easily for G2 that, this game Mikyx smurfing, this game this guy is smurfing. And I think the further you go into a bracket, that's what it's going to come down to. Like you have to have such high level on every single player. There's no room for like being a bit worse than the enemy or something like this. And this is why I have a lot of faith in G2, because I think individually you guys can be the best.
Can I ask specifically about Nemesis? Because I think over both Fnatic series, it felt like in a lot of games at least, Nemesis was kind of getting the best of Caps, and it was only really on the back half of both series that it felt like Caps was starting to do Caps things again, right? Because I think at the start of the series, especially this weekend, like game 1 especially, was like it felt like Jankos versus the world, and it felt like you guys were all struggling, but it was also really surprising because I think that something that was easy to gloss over because you died at level 2, and that's a much easier point to focus on. But like we didn't see Caps popping off, exploding into these games. So I'm actually surprised to hear Nemesis on that list of players. Now I just haven't watched him enough, but I'm curious like why you think that he's not quite at that level yet.
I think Nemesis is stable. I think like in early lane phase, he's going to put when he has the opportunity, he's going to put good wards. He's a really good TF. I think probably at Worlds he's not going to play TF ever. Like this season, TF's gone. I would be really surprised if he gets to play it unless some team has like Fizz counter prepared with a Shen top again. That's some shit. But Nemesis, later on in the team fights, especially with the mid lane meta right now, like the way playing Akali in team fights, playing Sylas in team fight is pretty tricky. I think you need to be really, really good to do it. And many of the late game fights, I think, when you see Akali being 50 CS ahead, like game 3 against you guys in the first series, it's like 50 CS ahead, he's 4-1-6, he has 3 items, he should 1v9, or itemize different, because he's going always Gunblade, Liandry into Deathcap. He can just maybe like buy a Zonias and then just engage and start out the fight or do something, but he's just getting one-shotted every time. He's just getting one-shotted. I remember this one time you were hiding in Tribush top. He was just walking, took a full queue of Kai'Sa, then he jumped into you, and then he
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 went
back
back in,
in, and he got queued by Kai'Sa again.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, it's lost.
That was not so good, yeah.
And I think when it comes to that, I think he struggles. And I can imagine if Caps, for example, or Jizuke was that fed with Akali, all of a sudden, the game looks super difficult because Akali is really busted. It's really, really OP. Like, he managed to make fed Akali look balanced. And early game, I think he did fine. I think early lane phase he did pretty good against Caps. I felt like Caps was underperforming many games in terms of lane phase. But later he just wasn't scary. And I think Akali has to be scary. And looking at the mid lane pool, what do we have? We had Doinby, he doesn't play Akali, but let's say Rookie, Faker. What's his name?
Doinby plays Renekton, so I don't know if you're going to have a very comfortable Akali time in the mid lane.
Yeah.
At 20 minutes it was pretty scary when he held the Gauntlet, Gauntlet and Rabadon, and do you remember the fight where I flashed on Reckless and we one-shot him?
Oh, yeah.
And then Akali just one-shot me and Kai'Sa, and I was like, what? How can you just do that?
Perks actually played it really well, because preemptively flashed Akali ult. Yeah.
But then after that, I didn't really see Akali much on my screen. He was kind of dead all the time. But until then, he was playing fine.
In no other world would you let a player have Akali so many games, no?
I think we would. Because we were opting into the Silence vs Akali matchup. We felt pretty comfortable with it.
All right.
And I think that game as well, game 3, I think Caps wanted to try to make something happen in mid lane, because bot lane had that level too. So bot lane was going rough. They had a lot of pressure bot, so he was trying to do something mid.
Okay.
Can't blame him for that. So, yeah.
Trying to bail you guys out. I respect it. Okay, well that's interesting, because I do think that team fighting with Akali is an interesting point. And I think you're right that we never saw those crazy game-changing flanks from Nemesis in the same way that we have seen from other Akalis. I can think of a few moments from Humanoid, and obviously it's a bit harder to find game-changing flanks against G2 because you guys are, I would think, usually pretty aware that, hey, we need to watch out for the Akali coming from the flank. Yeah. But
I just compare Caps Akali highlight reel to Nemesis Akali highlight reel, and it's going to, if you are you have the Akali details in your eyes and you're going to look for how he uses the passive, how he uses E, how he uses ult, then it's pretty evident that there's a big difference, big gap. Well.
Makes sense. I mean, for the sake of Europe, for the sake of Fnatic, I hope that either A, Nemesis gets to play Twisted Fate every game, or B, we get to see kind of the whole team level up, because it really does feel like
pick Aurelion Sol.
Yeah. Ooh, Aurelion Sol.
I also hope we get to see Kassadin and his team doesn't lose the game in 5 minutes.
That'd be nice.
If Kassadin does get to level 11 even, I think Nemesis is pretty insane at the champ. In solo queue, spams it a lot.
Yeah.
He almost got to level 16 that casting game. To be fair, he was just down 12k gold.
I don't want to be too harsh, because honestly he improved super much, and he's super stable, and his TF is really freaking scary.
Where would you put him, out of curiosity, in the stack ranking of mid laners here towards the postseason? Is he number 2? Is he number 3? Because I think that when you look at Worlds and you look at the best of the best, it's okay to be super nitpicky and super critical, because that's what it comes down to in a best of 5 in the World's finals, right? But I think domestically, he's still one of the best performing mid laners.
Yeah, I think top 2 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of this split and this half, for sure, I would put him top 2. But if, let's say, I'm going into off-season and I'm picking between players, I wouldn't rank him as high, because I think I think Fnatic does something very well, and that is how they slot in players and how they manage to kind of make them look much better than they are because of the system they have in place. And I think Nemesis and Fnatic have managed to make it work. And I think that's super impressive, and Nemesis has improved a shit ton.
So when it comes to Worlds, then, is it G2 is our S tier representative, Fnatic's A tier, and then our Gauntlet representative is because when we look at that final, right, I think everyone's gonna, and I kind of came out of that. Obviously, it's an emotional day, so I'm like, oh my god, we've got 2 of the best teams in the world. Everything's gonna be great. Screw everyone else. Europe is wonderful. It's amazing. Is it something that we should look at, where European fans, if they don't have an old allegiance to G2 or Fnatic or whatever any other team, should look at G2 is the expected favorite, Fnatic is a clear step below that in terms of expectations. People should not be expecting Fnatic to smash every group, smash every Eastern team in the same way that they, let's say, are expecting it for G2.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. I imagine semis for Fnatic maybe, yeah. I think they're still really good, and I think they play very fast. They have good initiative. They went blow for blow with G2. I think that's a really big deal, because I think no other team in Europe, how I ranked the teams in Europe was at 3 levels this season. Was one team that struggles with basics, that's like us and a bunch of other teams. Then there's like the teams that are good at the basics, which was like Splice and maybe Rogue, Schalke, and Schalke was the best at basics. But then the moment they face Fnatic and G2, they're using every moment of prio, every opportunity to do something, to really, really do something. And I think this is where all the other teams kind of fall behind. And I think coming into Worlds, Fnatic can still do a lot of damage. But if G2 play the same as they did now in this best of 5 against Fnatic, then all of a sudden I'm going to lose hope. I'm expecting you guys to improve a lot.
So G2 needs to ramp up. Fnatic, there's a lot of ramping up that needs to be done, which is good. I want to see growth during these boot camps. Once again, I'm
no pressure.
I'm very nervous. I'm very excited for Europe this year, but I'm also very nervous. And I still think like the thing to remember is that like the needle, if you're watching this and you're like, only semifinals for Fnatic, that seems harsh. Like, remember that last year getting a semifinal was a big deal for Europe. And now it's just now this year between the MSI victory, between Fnatic getting finals last year, where we can actually be like, hey, we want to win a world championship. So semifinals is still pretty sick. I hope for Fnatic's sake that we see more. I hope for Europe's sake that we get a Europe versus Europe final. For ticket sales, it's probably good to have a Chinese team there, but because they have a lot of fans that do like to make the trek. But we'll fill out the stadium either way. And now, kind of like the last business, and sadly, I think the least fun business is the Gauntlet, because as mentioned, G2, Fnatic, somebody else, and I think the general sentiment that I'm reading is it's like, oh crap, like who's actually good? Because let's take stock. Schalke blasted by Fnatic. OG didn't make playoffs. Splice blasted by Rogue, a team that's not even in the Gauntlet. Obviously, shout out to Rogue, fantastic playoffs performance. But what are your thoughts on these teams? Like, you guys maybe have scrimmed a little bit more, seen a little bit more behind the screens. Mickey, I don't know how many of these guys you've been playing against. Like, should I be getting excited about these teams? Who do I need to look at? Who's the favorite? Who's the favorite?
I have no idea.
You have no
I mean, we played one of those. Actually, we played 2 of those teams. But they were both like kind of
yikes.
Yeah, they were fine, you know. But they all seem like kind of similar to me. I don't know. I don't know if there's a clear favorite, if there's a clear like the worst team. I think they're like just all there, and we might just flip a coin and then somehow someone wins the game. I mean the Gauntlet. So I don't know.
I'm personally hoping OG.
Yeah,
I'm hoping OG because I think if they like are in good form, like if their players are playing at the level that they could play on, then I think they could actually do something at Worlds, potentially get out the groups. I can't imagine the same for Schalke and Splice. If I see them in peak performance, I don't think it will be a struggle for them to beat any exciting team, like in the LPL or in Korea. Because I think, for example, Schalke, I think is just a very similar team to, for example, Team Liquid. I think Team Liquid is like a better version of Schalke, for example. Splice, I think, is very unexciting when you think about the world stage. OG, if they get their shit together, Nuktak, Mithi, Alfari, I think they can do some damage. But did they improve? Who knows? You know, it's been a shit ton of time. So I'm hoping OG wins.
And these are just not teams you bet on. Like, these are teams that have had
keep your money.
all sort of inconsistency. You're like, that's the thing. And as a reminder for the format, Gauntlet did change this year. So it used to be teams 3 through 6, basically, in terms of championship points. It's now teams 2 through 5. So OG versus Splice is round 1. Winner of that will play Schalke. That match will decide who qualifies to Worlds, the Schalke versus the winner of OG Splice. And then the winner of Schalke versus, or the winner of round 2 at this point, will then play Fnatic for seeding. This sucks for Fnatic this year because I think they are clearly the second best team, but I like the rule generally because it's in place to stop. We'll just call it what it is. It's a 100 Thieves rule. It's to make sure that, you know, a team that did really well in spring but has like catastrophically dive bombed or like scrape by in summer can't just make Worlds through crazy results. So while it does, I think, kind of suck for Fnatic, it's I think better in the long run for Europe, although I'm sure there's a lot of upset Fnatic fans that they have to spend another week and play another best of 5 to prove they're the second seed.
I think, well, from my team's perspective, from my teammates, I heard that going to planes is really OP, because I heard that last year they were like really, really bad, but then they went to planes and they actually got good through playing planes. And usually the planes teams do really well at Worlds as well. Like I think Cloud9 was also went through planes and went through groups. and I think Fnatic the year before that. So we were joking like, even if we lose the final, maybe we just lose the Gauntlet as well, and then we go through planes, and then we're really insane, and then we win everything. So I think it's not that bad. Like that Fnatic has to play one more. Because, it's kind of a win-win. You either win and you're happy, you get the second seed, or you lose and you're still happy because you go to planes, then you're going to be really good. So, yeah.
Shit, we needed planes. Place,
What?
There was no we had third seed.
Yeah, there has to
we needed planes.
For sure. There has to be something wrong with the Worlds format. That people are like, oh, yeah, I want to go through planes. I want to risk my entire Worlds run. Damn it.
Doesn't kill you, makes you stronger,
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's true.
Okay, well, damn. All right, well, good for Fnatic at least. Let's talk a little bit about round one, OG versus Splyce. I know there's a lot of unknowns. Does this all just come down to what version of both? Like, how much can we actually predict reasonably ahead of time?
Well, I've seen some tweets that Mickey mentioned. Shit, I remember back in the gaming house, sometimes they called you Mithy.
Happened a lot, yeah.
And
still happens sometimes.
Little Mithy.
Yeah, still happens sometimes. I remember I said it too when we played Teamfight Tactics some weeks ago. But nevertheless, we saw some tweets about Duke complaining they don't have internet, which is a valid complaint. Right?
Yeah.
They don't have internet, making excuses for himself. And, OG took the strategic decision of setting up their base in Denmark. So they don't have internet
really
issues.
smart.
So maybe this is a massive edge. Maybe it's a planned attack on the Splyce internet or something. I don't know. Just throwing some conspiracy theories out there.
That's good. Let them know. Yeah.
So,
plan it out.
Internet is important for practice. Maybe that's an edge. But that's like the only sure information we have at this point.
That's my favorite YamatoCannon quote of all time. Internet is important for practice.
And I have another conspiracy theory that Duke is making up that they don't have internet, so they come as the underdogs because when everyone expected them to win against Rogue, they get really stomped. So they're like the underdogs. We couldn't practice. We're gonna lose, and then they're gonna win Gauntlet really.
So Duke is like. Because see, it's very believable to flame a German internet company. Because if he's just unplugged the router, right, and he tells the team that the German internet, no one's going to doubt that. Because let me be clear here, they're like, yeah, so we'll come in 3 weeks, and you're like, I need internet for my job. They're like, all right, we'll be there in 2 days, and they show up, and it's like 7 a.m. and they are like, all right, well, we're gonna take a break real quick. We'll be done in. We'll come back in a little bit. They're like, we forgot some tools. We'll come. German efficiency is a myth. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of things that Germany does. Germany does super well. I love doctor's appointments. I show up, I get my doctor's appointment.
Cars.
Yeah, cars. Super well. When it comes to getting your internet fixed, it is just the service is definitely better than Spectrum or that crap you guys have in the US, if any US viewers are listening. But oh my God, it's the same thing where they're like, yeah, we'll come over sometime between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. And you're like, that's not a time window. That's a day. Don't tell that. I can't just sit at home all day.
Actually, I'm mega scammed because my internet provider was like, you have up to 1 gigabit. And then this up to.
Oh, yeah.
It's never been 1 gigabit.
It's never hit 1 gigabit.
Never been 1 gigabit, but up to. And I'm paying for up to.
If you log in, and only you and no one else, at 1:35 a.m., that's when no one's playing, 4:35 a.m., let's make it more believable, that no one's playing video games, you get all of the 1 gigabit. Otherwise, we're splitting it between you and 40 other people.
And German tap water. What's up with that? Is this tap water?
No, I think
this is not tap water, right?
This is filtered water.
German tap water. What's up with that, man?
It's got a lot of lime.
This
is the Jerry Seinfeld comedy hour. What's up with airplane fame? What's up with German tap water? It got a lot of lime. Very drinkable,
I'm going to enjoy this, though.
There you go.
You want some more?
All right, it's a little off. Okay, I got a little off topic. So outside of conspiracy theories, do we have anything else? Is there anything else you're like, let's say if this was coming right out of regular season, it's a quarterfinals matchup, OG versus Splyce, who would take it?
Splyce.
Yeah, OG's not in playoffs.
From a regular season.
I know, but let's pretend.
Well, if it was from regular season, then Splyce, obviously, they were third and OG didn't make playoffs. But now I think that OG might just win. I don't know. I think maybe OG.
Well, where does this faith for OG come from, though?
I don't know.
Scrims.
I think the players are good. I think they probably.
So were they always good in scrims, even when they were just running it down on stage?
Yeah, at least for me.
Less so this split than last split. I think last split they were good scrim partners. This split they were kind of fine. They were nothing special. But last split they were the best out of the.
Is this kind of if anyone's going to do it, OG's going to do it, and this is kind of just do you think the easiest answer, or is this the safe bet? Because we said there's kind of no safe bet, but is this I
mean, safe bet is probably Schalke. I think Schalke is pretty good, and they're in the second round already, so they probably win it. But I think OG players are all really good, and they had a lot of off time. So I'm hopeful that they improved a lot, but I guess we'll see.
I think in the first series I would go OG's safe bet. Because I don't think Splice can throw a lot of curveballs at you, and I think OG as a team, even though they got beat down in best of ones, I think in best of 5 they can be really good. Because I think if they get to play the same meta over and over, I think for players like Mythy and Cold, that's very positive. Because this split, I can imagine, was hard for Cold because there was many junglers coming in that shook up the champion pool of every jungler. There was Kiana, there was Sylas. Sometimes some junglers played Pyke, There's a lot of options there. And I think when a meta stabilizes, for example, people were just picking Sejuani, Gragas, Skarner, I think that's perfect. Cold can be a big smurfer there. And I think depending on how the first series goes for OG, then we can rate the Schalke OG one. But I think first series should go in OG's favor because we call them always the prep team. That's the name, right?
Yeah, sure.
Best of 5 is where they can potentially shine.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think that's a lot of credence to them. I'm curious to see which version of Splice shows up. I was personally really surprised that they just kind of, I don't know, just blew up.
So for OG and best of 5 didn't look that strong, but maybe this split.
They're supposed to be the prep team.
Yeah. But they beat Fnatic.
They had all the answers for Zonataric.
Yeah.
They had the Blitzcrank Forest thing.
Yeah, I think that's told from someone, but I'm not sure who.
More conspiracies.
So that, at least round 1 for me, is going to be really exciting because I have no idea what to expect from either of these teams. I'm going to be honest. You guys, I think you're giving way too much credit to OG. I know you've seen more tape than I have, but
probably.
But even Splice without internet, OG were really bad. If you told me it's Alfari versus any other top laner in this thing, I would go, all right, I can believe it. I can see how Alfari could win out and get 3rd seed, maybe even 2nd seed. If you tell me it's all of Origin, I'm like, those last few weeks were pretty rough.
It's sad though because Alfari is really good, but I think he has the lowest jungle proximity of any player.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a reason he showed up in All Pro, and I didn't put him there because I felt like people were overhyping him because he also got to play a ranged champion into Mordekaiser 5 times this split. It's 3 times it being hyperbolic, but every one of those games he's up 1 million CS. So when you see his stats, they're super padded because he literally just gets to free hit a giant creep for his entire lane phase. But overall, definitely the strongest member of OG, and I think should have a decent time against Vizicachi. Good time against Otawamne as well. Damn, man.
Vizicachi Poppy though. Will they ban it? Nuktak knows he has experience. He played the same team.
The clutch. You're good. You wanna do more broadcast stuff? You wanna come on with these narratives? It's like the Poppy. I've seen nothing for a month, but the Poppy. Actually, matters now.
They didn't play against Rocket, Rogue, so they were saving it for.
Saving the puppy.
Yeah, they're saving the puppy. I think I didn't see it. So.
The Shen maybe.
Yeah. Huh? You're saving those strats.
The legendary Shen.
I'm with you though. OG could just be trash. There's a chance that they just complete Garbodor, they choke game 1.
I feel bad because I want to for viewers at home, I want to give you some definitive analysis, but Schalke are worse than Fnatic. I can tell you that. We saw that this weekend, right? So if it's Schalke versus Fnatic in the finals, I think Fnatic will win again. But OG versus who knows? Yeah. What the hell? Both these teams we haven't seen them in so long, and OG especially.
Yeah.
The real loser here is Rogue. Poor Rogue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Showed up, ramped up for playoffs.
The Gorky package.
Yikes.
Straight out of playoffs. Right into the offseason. Oh, that's rough. Yeah. He had a good split though. Yeah. But the package, he's going to be remembered for that.
Yeah. He can. All it takes is one insane playoffs run to make people forget. But if he
I don't think so.
If it goes down, if it goes downhill from here, people will hold on to that.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. The package doesn't stick with me it does stick with me. I don't know, am I kidding? I think I just feel bad, so I don't want to focus on it. But I'm sorry, Larson. That's not how you want it. That just sucks, dude. That's actually the worst thing. Final thoughts. We're kind of coming towards the end here. What are you most excited about in the coming weeks? Are you excited about just having time off and finally getting a break? Are you excited about boot camping and finally try-harding his G2 and Wonder will be level 60 and out of gear to get, so he'll stop playing WoW and focus on the scrims?
That's the hype part, yeah. But also, I'm just looking forward to scrimming all the international teams. That's usually the most fun part, to see what their priorities are, how they play the game. And just in general Worlds, I guess.
And anything from you, Yamato? Looking forward to?
No, I'm gonna cheer for my boys at G2. I'm hyped for them. I called that they're going to win MSI the moment they beat Origin.
Ole.
I think I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to say that you guys are going to win Worlds because I trust you guys to get better. Because even though these games look cocktail, you guys show moments of brilliance, and that brilliance, if it's consistent, it's a winner.
Yeah.
So I leave with that. G2 wins Worlds.
All right. Final notes from me. Quickshot has taken too long to get his frog tattoo. For all of Worlds, he will be on the wall of shame. I will find the worst picture of him humanly possible. He will join Maurice Amazing Stuckensteiner, the man who would not do the Volibear dance, and OG Deficio, the man who would not shave the letters FNC into the side of his head, on the wall of permanent shame at this point. He might think it's worth it, but we're going to give him extra shame because that one, like, tattoo, come on, like, you committed. You're a caster. Deficio at least, like, has a reason. He works for OG now. It's technically difficult. Amazing's in NA. None of these are ever getting the doomed wall. And, of course, I had one final thing. What was I going to say? Something about beating you in Mortal Kombat, I think. You're going to get absolutely smashed. We have a Mortal Kombat rivalry.
Okay. You can't even really get around, like, seriously.
You can't
But you're good at fighting games.
I'm pretty good at fighting games. I'm not as great at Mortal Kombat.
Are you good at fighting games?
We're both ramping up. We're ramping
Okay.
up. Yeah, we're ramping up.
Fighting games is too hard, man.
So
I suck at fighting games.
you can learn.
I'm good at Smash and Brawlhalla. It's a shitty version of Smash.
Dude, we can definitely play Smash.
Brawlhalla. Okay.
Yeah, shout out. Final note, anyone, if you play any sick games for the off season, for all of the EU pros who might watch this who are looking for games to play, let us know what they are. If you want G2 to lose Worlds, give us a really great game that they could play instead of scrimming.
I mean, why do you think I allowed to every
This is
game?
NA fans if you want to sabotage EU.
I'm like, I could probably take on the
Okay, but really, we
Fox,
played a best of 19, and it was 10-9. What are you talking about? I can't
that
get
was
around.
when I was first timing, but now I'm perfected the game.
You think I haven't
I would like
perfected
take
the
on
game?
Sonic Fox right now, and I would stomp him. He wouldn't take a round of me. I'm sorry.
Sonic? Excuse.
That was so good.
Someone's gonna clip that and send that to Sonic Fox. You are gonna get your ass beat, dude. Sonic Fox is way too good.
way.
We're both watching Sonic Fox videos to get better.
I didn't.
Okay.
I got better on my own.
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah.
am
We'll
my
see
own
what you did on your own
I have
versus
nothing to contribute.
I'm sorry. All right, that's going to do it for Euphoria Season 4, Episode 13. Remember, we are on a couple-week break. We will be back 9th of October will be the next episode. It'll be a Dive 4 episode. I don't know who will be here, but we will be talking about startup groups. We'll be talking about Worlds. We'll be talking about plans. Yeah, get ready for another crazy weekend of League. OG versus Splice on Friday. The winner of that versus Schalke on Saturday. The winner of that versus Fnatic on Sunday for the final 2 World slots, 2nd and 3rd seed to decide it all. Get hyped for Worlds, folks. It's coming. Europe's going to be awesome. Just really strong. We're going to win. That's the state of things. Thanks for watching. See you later.